Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds, where I like to collect together all the different things that I've picked up over the past week, present it to you guys, give you a little bit of background about it, maybe turn you on to something new, or just remind you about something that you got in your own collection that you want to pull out. I've got 10 different things to run through with you guys. A little bit of everything for this particular week here. We'll get into it in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, it's an added bonus by turning on notifications. You'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this, where I'm talking about all the new things that I've picked up, hoping to turn you on to something new here. And first up, we're going to start with the new releases. I got a bunch of them from this past Friday, October 17th, but also a few from the week before. Just stuff that didn't come in time. I mean, I've got other stuff on order right now that came out on the 17th that hasn't arrived. You'll see that in the next week. So that's just how it rolls sometimes. But first one up, one that I really have enjoyed. Most of you guys out there know I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. So the new David Gilmour Luck and Strange Concerts 2-album live collection. And I call it a live collection because it is a compilation of songs from the 23 live dates that he performed, as opposed to it being all one concert, which in the past, the two previous live albums that David Gilmour has released have been complete shows. This one here, the 23 tracks, are made up from those 23 performances. And I don't think it quite breaks down one per show. It just happens to be. It's a coincidence, I'm sure, that the 23 songs, 23 dates, that sort of thing. But I gotta say, it is all very good. And I have done a full review and unboxing of this. I will leave the link in the description if you want to get a little bit more information on it. But as one would expect from any member of Pink Floyd, the quality is flawless, the sound is flawless, the performance is fantastic. The biggest part of this that I really liked was the song selection. It wasn't the typical songs that you would have expected. It's not just the hits. In fact, there's a number of big time Pink Floyd hits that aren't being performed here. I'm okay with that. I get them in other different ways. So the song selection that was on this really worked well, in my opinion. Also, he's only performing solo material from the last two albums, the most recent, Luck and Strange from 2024, and I believe it was 2015's Rattle That Lock. So both of those being very close, in my opinion, to later day era Pink Floyd albums. So when you take those two albums along with all of the other Floyd material that gets performed, it works seamless. It sounds great together. And that's what we get with this, is just an album of material that sounds really good when all played together. Nothing on here stands out or doesn't fit or is jarring in any way. Just each track really good, one right after the other. So great live album. This one here being the standard edition. There is a deluxe, well, not really a deluxe, but like a exclusive album cover, a version that is from Amazon. So there is that alternate version. I don't know if anywhere else released special limited edition versions of these or whatnot, but there was that. There's also a Blu-ray edition of this. And then there is a DVD Blu-ray. And when I say Blu-ray, I meant Blu-ray audio, but there's also Blu-ray DVD video, but that is of one concert, as live at Circus Maximus. I think the track listing is the same, but it is all one show. I didn't pick that up. I just find that I do not watch live Blu-rays and DVDs anymore. Yeah, I don't know. So I chose not to pick it up. I might buy it and download it and have it that way, but I just don't buy the physical ones anymore. I just don't watch them either. So, you know, being that it's David Gilmour, it's Pink Floyd related, I feel like I need to have it, but I know if I spend the money on it, I probably won't even take it out of the plastic. And so I'm trying to be good and not buy it. But like I said, it's nagging me in the back of my head that I need to go get it and add it to the collection because it's different. If it were literally the same as this, I wouldn't. But knowing that there is a whole other thing out there that's not this, and it's on Blu-ray DVD to be watched, again, I feel like I need to have it. So you might see it pop up in my collection in the weeks to come, but right now, just starting with that. All right, this next one is one that I did not expect to be as good as it is. I was just buying it to be a completist because that's who I am. And I thought, I would enjoy this enough, but I really didn't expect it to be as good as it is. Scorpions from the First Sting, a new compilation celebrating the band's 60-year career, 1965 to 2025. Musically, though, it spans 50 years, 1972 to 2022. It is a single disc collection spanning their whole career. Leaves out some big chunks, but it does kick off in 72, covers through the Ole John Roth era, all through the 80s heyday, a little bit into the 90s, and then we don't get anything until 2007, I think it is, and then 2022. So, like I said, it's not fully comprehensive as a single disc, but the selections that are on here are very good, and it's not just the hits. And I think that was the thing that really got me for this, is that there's plenty of big songs that are left off. There's just enough big ones that are included that you would expect. Rock You Like a Hurricane is on here. Big City Nights is on here. But instead of songs like Blackout, we get songs like No One Like You. So big song, but not the song you would expect. In all, just the fact that it also spans their RCA Records years, which is the Ole John Roth period, as well as the Mercury Records years, their heyday era, where all the hits in the 80s and all of that sort of stuff. Just nice collection to span all of that. And they put a great book together with it. Again, done a full review of this. If you want to know more about it, have me break down where every track comes from, which of these are rarities and that kind of stuff. You can check that out. It like I said, it turned out to be a really great collection that I've been listening to quite a bit since getting, just because I think they chose the absolute right songs to go together on it. Not so much worrying about just jamming it full of hits, but instead, what makes for a good album as a standalone thing? What are those tracks? That's what that is, 16 killer tracks. And by the way, if you're like me and you were ordering from Amazon and you looked at Amazon and you saw that it only had 12 tracks, clocking in at 46 minutes, that is not the case. 76 minutes long and 16 tracks. I ordered it from Amazon and was shocked when it arrived with 4 extra songs that I wasn't counting on. So that was very, very cool. All right, next up, Paul Lidel's Scream Therapy. Paul Lidel is a guitar player who started off in Dirty Looks and then joined Dangerous Toys. He's done a number of other things. He's currently playing with both of those, although both of them are really just live bands and touring bands. They don't really, or have not recorded anything studio-wise in ages. But we get this, and if you like Dirty Looks and you like Dangerous Toys, this sounds like it is right in the ballpark of both of those bands, and I would highly recommend it. Great album, 10 tracks, Paris Records, glam metal at its finest, nice, dirty, sleazy rock and roll at its best. Paul Lidel's Scream Therapy. Definitely recommending that to all my glam metal viewers out there. Right, how about some traditional heavy metal? How about something new that's traditional? Iron Spell. This is called From the Grave. I think it has great album artwork. Backside of this too. This is a newer band. I think they've been around 10 years. Made one album in like 2015, and then this one 10 years on or 9 years on. Something wild like that. But here they are back with their second studio album, and it's on Dying Victims Records, a label that I have found while issuing new bands that play metal. They play metal the traditional way, whether sometimes it's traditional thrash, traditional heavy metal like Judas Priest and stuff like that, or it's like new wave of British heavy metal, the stuff that leans more on the hard rock side, but is still metal. This label is just going around and finding all these bands in Europe, South America, wherever, and putting out some really killer new bands that are doing this cool old stuff. So this is another one, Iron Spell. I would definitely recommend it. Talked about it a few weeks back during my What Just Dropped series. Not expecting or knowing this band was coming out, but as soon as I see that logo, the Dying Victims Records logo, I immediately have to go check it out. I've not liked everything. Some of the stuff they do veers on the edge of death metal, and I steer clear of that. But everything else that is thrash or speed metal or traditional metal or new wave of British heavy metal stylings, I go and get. And this is just another good one worth checking out. All right, this next one's a cool one. I talked again about it when it came out, but it took a little bit for me to get my copy of it. The group is called Perpendicular. They are a Deep Purple tribute band who also records albums of original material. When they record those albums of original material, they feature Ian Pace. Ian Pace being the drummer of Deep Purple. He comes in and he played I Know on the last album, and he's playing on this album here. I don't really know how they lined that up or swung it or what the deal is, or they're just friends. But all in all, Ian Pace playing with a Deep Purple tribute band. If you want more Deep Purple, but Deep Purple not putting out enough albums for you, this would be something to give a listen to check out. Perpendicular. And I've always been kind of thrilled by tribute bands that hone their craft playing somebody else's music and then eventually start writing music in that vein. At a certain point, our heroes are going to be gone, and I think it is going to be up to these tribute bands to be putting out albums in the classic vein of the material that we like. And that's some of those bands that are out there, that's all they are. There's no original members in them, like Foreigner, right? So if there's a Foreigner tribute band, which there is, called Double Vision, recording their own material, it takes the place of the fact that we're not getting new Foreigner albums, right? Right now we're still getting Deep Purple, and Deep Purple is riding a high, having put out 3 or 4 albums in a row that's some of their best material, certainly. But at some point it will be the end, right? Well, there's this band here, Perpendicular. They're doing it upright, and they do it like the 70s era Deep Purple. So again, check this stuff out. It's pretty cool. Ian Pace certainly gives it his stamp of approval. But this album called Band, it's out on Metalville Records, 9 tracks in all, and as I said, featuring Ian Pace on drums. Just very, very cool. All right, kind of along the lines, I didn't even realize actually that I had picked up 2 tribute albums this past go around, but Zakk Sabbath, the ultimate Black Sabbath tribute band, because it has none other than Zakk Wylde, Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist, in the lead role of guitar and vocals on here. We also get Blasco on bass, and he plays with Alice Cooper. He also plays with Rob Zombie, or maybe played, might be the better word, I think, and Joey Castillo on drums, who I know from Danzig, although again, I'm quite sure he plays in some other groups and stuff like that. But greatest riffs, and it is a best of the tribute albums that Zakk Sabbath have made. They have covered 3 Black Sabbath, the first 3 Black Sabbath albums, and then they recorded the song Under the Sun from Volume 4 for another tribute album, Black Sabbath tribute album. So they added that to this, and you are getting songs from the first 4 Black Sabbath albums, which in my opinion makes sense to be a best of at this point, greatest riffs. That was a digital only album that came out with 8 tracks. They added 2 more songs to this, including the song Evil Woman, which was not on the debut album when they first covered that, and Under the Sun from Volume 4. So you're getting 2 unreleased Zakk Sabbath songs on a Zakk Sabbath album, but also songs that warrant being part of this from Black Sabbath. So that's a very cool collection. I love what he does. Zakk pretty much follows and covers the stuff almost identically. The part that's cool is hearing him vocally do it and the occasional rip into a riff that he will do that's a little more powerful than, say, the original recorded version, but not a lot of variety or difference. I do prefer tribute albums where the artist covering them interprets the song as their own. I find those to be the most interesting. If I want a straight replication of it, I'll just go listen to the original. But have to add it to the collection. I'm a fan of Zakk Wylde. I'm also intrigued by best of compilations. So seeing that and knowing there was a couple extra songs on it that weren't on the albums that I already have by them, adding it to the collection. All right. First up, this came out on the 17th, though I showed it to you guys previously. It's the Alan Parsons Project iRobot Deluxe Edition 7-disc box set. So I'd already talked to you about this. I don't want to recover this, but I did want to remind you that it had come out and that you guys can go get it. I'd done a full review of this on my channel, and I also had on Grant Arthur, Pete Pardo, and Phil Aston from their own YouTube channels come on and guest, and we talked about it in great detail on my channel as well. But that's out. The thing that I picked up, though, that's related to that is the single disc edition of it. And yes, that remastered copy is inside here, but I have the first 2 albums that Cooking Vinyl did remastered like that as standalone releases, and I needed to have this one for that as well. But what I have found with Cooking Vinyl is their remasters are so good that I really, really enjoy them. They are becoming the definitive versions for me. So I just felt I needed to get this one and have this one so I can pull this one off the wall and enjoy it, not having to pull out the box set and break into it and all of that sort of stuff. Instead, I can just pull this off. Plus, it comes with 4 bonus tracks on it, and the tracks that are on these, very cool to get. So you get songs like an experimental lead guitar part on here for iRobot. You get I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You, slower backing out take. You get Some Other Time, an Eric Wolfson piano take, and you get Don't Let It Show, the string section take. And that, I will tell you, is a very, very cool track to hear all on its own. It was one of the key standout tracks that was on this that caught my ear when I was first listening to this. So I'm glad to see that that is on here for you guys. But they do a really great job on this. The booklet is absolute top notch. So I had to pick that up, put that into the collection. And then I've got 2 catalog albums that I picked up. Turns out I've been missing 1 Queen album, never had it in the collection. And after I got it and listened to it, I kind of remembered why or realized why. But Queen, the Flash Gordon soundtrack, this is the 1 album by the band I didn't have in my collection, but it's not really a Queen album per se. It's definitely a soundtrack, but it's, it's a curiosity. I wanted to hear it. And I know I've listened to samples of it that have always ruled it out, and I'm not going to buy that. It just doesn't sound enough like Queen. Football Fight's about the only thing on here that I really like that to me is a full-on Queen song. But this is also the 2 CD bonus disc edition with an EP of unreleased stuff added on. And so I wanted to get that before it was gone. This one having 6 tracks on it, some single versions, revisited, early version, a live take, stuff like that. So very cool to get, completing my Queen collection. I at least now own every Queen album that they did. Though there is still one of these releases with the bonus CD in it that I still need to get. Actually, might be a couple, but in particular, Jazz. I just have that as a Japanese album sleeve type. I don't have it as a jewel case, and I don't have it as this. So at some point, I'm going to be adding that to the collection just to have it in there. I almost bought it when I was buying this, but sometimes I have trouble pulling the trigger. It was a $20 album because of the bonus disc, and it was just sort of like, I've already got it. It's not going to be anything new except that bonus disc, and I just didn't do it. I was already spending $20 on this one. And then when doing that, actually the thing that prodded me to do that was I recently did a run through of my Rush albums and realized I did not have All the World's a Stage. And it is a single disc live album, the first live album that they put out. And I was kind of surprised. I knew I had picked up Exit Stage Left recently when I realized I didn't have that, but I don't know why I didn't pick this up. So had to get it, and I was like, I just completed it, and it was posted, and then I was like, Monday morning, I was like, oh, what was that one album? Oh, let me go look for that. And when I was doing it, I don't know, but my mind thought of this, and I looked it up. And so I actually ordered both of these together, and I got them both, mostly just filling voids in my collection. But finally having the last of the Rush albums that I didn't own, and the last of the Queen albums, I now own everything that those bands have done, at least official releases, live, compilation, studio album. They're in my collection, and I feel very, very good about that. But there you go, 10 things that I picked up this past week. Like I said, I got a few other things on order. One of them is the Foreigner live album. I think it was recorded in 2005 from an iTunes concert, but I don't have it, and it's archival, and it's finally seeing the light of day. It is with Kelly Hansen on vocals, but I decided, you know what, I want to go ahead and get it and have it. I don't know why I didn't choose to pick it up. I didn't pre-order it was the thing. I decided after the fact. So it will arrive. You'll see it next week, but just a reminder, that is out for you guys, and I'll give you a rundown on what it actually is and how it sounds and everything next week. But hopefully with the stuff that I showed you guys, maybe you found something new, something you want to check out that you weren't thinking you wanted to. In particular, like I said, I was not thinking this was going to be very good. I thought it was only 12 tracks. The fact that it has 16 and the extra tracks that it added on were 4 additional tracks from the Uli John Roth era actually just really makes it so. That was one that I definitely would recommend you guys check it out. And don't go stream it, because the streaming version of this is not the same track listing as this. And also there's a European version that is a 2-disc version. So there's single disc, there's a streaming that's different, there's a 2 CD in Europe that's different. Take your pick, I guess. So all in all, kind of cool. But again, that full review that I do of that Scorpions disc breaks all that down and explains it. So if you're a diehard like me and you want to really get into the nuts and bolts of this thing, there is that full review. All right, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. I hope you found something new. Weigh in. What was your favorite cool new find from the past week? Whether a new release or something you found archivally, weigh in. Let me know. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good one. And I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.